Lowe. Trent rode for the Garmin Transitions team on the UCI Pro Tour from 2008 to 2010. He's a former full-time professional mountain biker and had a breakthrough year on the road in 2005 riding for the US domestic team Jittery Joes, where he caught the eye of Discovery Channel sports manager Johan Brunel. He was signed for Discovery Channel for his superior climbing abilities. In 2002, Trent won the UCI World Champion Cross Country Championships. Then he won the Under-23 Australian National Mountain Bike Championships in 2003 and 2004. Following 2 seasons of injury and chronic fatigue, the young climber signed with the new Australian team, Pegasus, before the announcement they had failed to obtain the 2001 UCI World Tour licence. As a result, Trent didn't continue at that time with his professional riding career. Trent.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks for having me, everyone. I'm here to give you an athlete's perspective with regards to athletes' health and anti-doping. And my perspective comes from a pro cyclist from 8 years on both road and mountain bikes, as Colin said. I've always ridden as a clean athlete, and I've never used performance-enhancing drugs. And I'm also willing to talk about the broader issue of doping and health in cycling that perhaps a lot of athletes aren't, due to this code of silence that seems to exist once you're in professional sport. And there's some main points I'd like to cover, and I think it's necessary to sort of context this topic as well with the perspective of what an elite athlete is. Elite athletes are driven people, and it goes beyond just simply having extraordinary physical attributes to being an elite athlete. For an Australian pro cyclist, you move your life to the other side of the world. And we lead a good life in Australia. I mean, we have one of the highest quality of livings in the world, and we're leaving this into completely unknown. And we know nobody in the other side of the world when we get there. And the probability of success probably seems unlikely when you consider it like that. But we work hard, and it's not just Australian athletes that do this as well. There's athletes worldwide, cyclists worldwide. Some athletes probably come from a poorer existence, and maybe that's their means of gaining a better existence. And I think we need to remember this drive and passion for sport, and this sort of high work ethic that athletes have when we're considering these topics, and perhaps why it's a reason that athletes do turn to doping. In cycling, I feel that managers and sports directors have too great an influence. They expect unrealistic things on their riders with regards to their racing and training schedules or their workloads as their professionals. These managers generally don't have any formal trainings or qualifications, and they base everything on their own personal experience, which sounds probably absurd to have a manager that has no training in anything, yet they're a manager still in administering the sport. It's understood that these managers, during their own cycling careers, is often doped as well, through times where doping was perhaps more blatant. Also, I feel that the events in the cycling season are too difficult, and the seasons are too long and hard. I mean, the Tour de France has just finished, and it's 3,500 kilometres long, and there's 3 of these events annually, and there's every other race that pads out the season, and training camps included on top of that. So you understand how grueling it becomes, and it's not uncommon. I've spent 30,000 kilometres on my bike in a season or more sometimes. Maybe you can relate that to the amount of kilometres you do in your car. I think maybe people average around 20,000 kilometres in their vehicles annually. So it's a lot of time on your bike, and there's adverse conditions that we race in, as well as some of the images we saw too. It's not always sunshine and 23 degrees as we'd like it to be. And I think the reason that